I save a file here in Dynamo level 2, and then I make a new folder, and then I name it Dynamo file, and then I make another folder selection. Just let's start from the 0, 0, 1 selection. It's better. And then I open it, 0, 1 dash selection. The third thing we are going to learn in the intermediate video is the nodes which are located in selection subcategory. It means that you can find them in Revit library and then selection. Here we will talk about the most important ones, but we got only we got some new nodes. For example, select model elements by category, that we will talk about them later. But right now we're gonna talk about the basic ones, and they are select model elements and select model elements. With these two nodes, you can select a model element or a model elements from the document. For example, I selected an element from the Revit, for example the walls. Right now check the element, but as I said, in select model elements you can select many elements, more than one elements. But disadvantage here is that when you select the elements by click drag, you cannot isolate them in Dynamo. So at first you should isolate them in Revit. So for example, from this part isolate element, and then you can import it into Dynamo. And I call it a kind of limitness. But as you can see here, we got 5 elements, which 2 of them are extra. So I drag them again. Look, 3 IDs for 3 elements. So this is correct, and then I add a watch to show that what has been selected. Or for example, you can add watch 3D by this way. Actually, we didn't convert this into geometries, so we can see it. Anyway, you can do this. So if you wanna watch these in the background of the Dynamo, here in the library we can search element dot geometry. Here, as you can see, element geometry in Revit library. So let's just find it in Revit. Look, I open Revit, elements, and then element. Here geometry, you can get all of the geometry associated with the object. Then you can have the model after connecting. Check this out. Or for example this, look at it will be shown in the 3D background of the Dynamo. Then the other options. At first I hide this. Actually unhide or show. I save it. Here the option actually in selection. Here in selection, here select face or faces or edge on edges. If you remember, we have worked with these nodes in the elementary level, that you can choose one face or many faces. Or for example, here you can just select an edge or many edges. Here select edges by this way. For example, I select a face like this. I can just consider one face. I remove the wires. Or for example, for faces I click drag, and then I can select faces, and then here just click on finish to select all of them. And the export is a kind of surface. as you can see. By this way you can select and then import them to the Dynamo, as you can see. So I delete these, or for example edge, you can select the edge here, check this out, or you can select many edges. For example, suppose that I select these by holding Control and then I click on finish, then you can have the two edges. Check this out. But now, for example, in geometry, in curves, line, I'm sorry, actually in polycurve, here curve at index, or in polygon, let's see, let me search parameter at point, then I specify the curve by the edges, and for the point I add a code block from 0 to 1 and hashtag n for the number, and then I add an integer slider, 2 as minimum, and for maximum 30, and then I specify n, and then I connect it to point. Actually here at parameter, not at point, I made a mistake. Let me search point at parameter. Here it is. So let me replace it. Check this out. Like this way. $10, 2 for minimum and 30 for maximum. And then I change the lace into cross product. Check this out. And here in point at parameter, in the list you can have the points. So I search here get item at indexed, which is connected to elementary level. That you need to know these if you want to start intermediate level. I give the lists, and for the index number of the index 0, and for the another one index 1, to just separate them. And then I search line by a start point end point. I specify the points to create some lines. Check this out. But if you remember, I add a reverse here. I give the list to reverse it, and then I specify the start point and end point. Now check this out. You know that the reverse, you can reverse a list. So check this out. But as you know, we can work on it more, making meshes, elements, faces, walls, and stuff like that, or design it, or whatever you want.